Teen metalhead Daniel is excited to go spend the summer in Florida with his dad, but when dad suddenly cancels, sad librarian mum Sue has to try and pick up the pieces.
Daniel seems quite philosophical about it all, though.
I don't want to be here, do I? I want to be in Florida, where I'm supposed to be, with Dad!
I think he's quite disappointed, to be honest.
Adapted from a graphic novel by screenwriter Lisa Owens, Days of the Bagnold Summer has mostly received attention for being directed by Inbetweeners star Simon Bird. I'm always just a little concerned about debut films by actors turned directors because they seem to end up sort of overwrought, overthought, and kind of over-designed as well. But I'm happy to report that Days of the Bagnold Summer suffers from none of those problems. What Bird does instead of doing that overthinking is he opts for a very simple coverage, frequently just using static singles and close-ups, and combined with the small scope of the story, it's an uncomplicated, unpretentious film. In fact, the overall visual style is more reminiscent of, say, like Napoleon Dynamite, except without the overly confected production design. And mostly there's just small tricks, like positioning the characters far apart, occupying different sides of the frame that's often divided by doors and walls that help to communicate the story in a subtle way. By standing back and really letting the actors work, Bird allows the brilliantly observed script and fantastic performances to shine. Daniel is a perfectly realised teenager, right down to the competitive, fractious relationship that he has with the only other metal kid in town. He sleeps late, he refuses to hand out CVs, he sits at the kitchen table eating ketchup sandwiches, and he'll only wear black hoodies. In fact, the film begins with a long discussion about buying formal shoes for a wedding, with Sue offering these kind of numerous compromises and Daniel just like rejecting it all from behind a thin layer of greasy long hair. And it just felt almost painfully accurate to my experiences. My main reaction to the film was, oh my god, I've actually said that. You know a script is on the money if you have memories of doing exactly what its characters are doing, so sorry, Mama Webb. Not since Lady Bird had Timothée Chalamet nonchalantly nursing a copy of Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States has my dickhead teen self ever felt so seen. Monica Dolan as Mum Sue is a real revelation. She fills all this funny mum dialogue with pauses and stutters, and behind the eyes she always has a hint of faded dreams of something else. She gets about as much screen time as Daniel as well, so we see plenty of her life and her conversations with other women, including new age mum Tamsin Greig and sister Alice Lowe, in the sort of prerequisite UK comedy star cameos that a film like this tends to have. Speaking of that, a series of interactions with town Lothario Rob Brydon opens up an interesting plotline, one that looks at the resurgent romantic life of a woman who basically considered herself past it. In that way, Days of the Bagnold Summer is pretty unique. There are very few films focused on middle-aged women. There's even fewer films focused on their sex lives, and none that I've seen where they're middle-class librarians, basically. Much more like a Julia Roberts type in Eat, Pray, Love or something. And key to the film's success is that beneath the cutesy comedy, the big dopey Labrador and matching custom-printed Labrador mousepad observational stuff, there's a deep emotion to the story as well. Dolan and Earl Cave, who plays Daniel, always inhabit their characters with a depth of feeling, and that drives the story through much harder than you might expect. There are these bitter arguments and tears shed as well. Sue isn't just comedically exasperated about having a teenager, but she's really desperate to reach out to him and rebuild a relationship. So there are some hard truths about parenting in this, and I think hard truths about being a son as well, which are backed up by showing kind of plenty of the inner lives of both characters, quite even-handed in that way. It ends up being as much about Daniel realizing that his mum is a real person as it is about Sue reconnecting with him. And nothing much happens. There's nothing massive, no big drama or high stakes, but as you watch, you realize, kind of as the characters themselves do, that they're living through a quietly transformative experience. So that's Days of the Bagnold Summer, which is out on video on demand in the UK today. I hope you enjoy watching the film, and let's have a conversation about it in the comments below. That's it from me. Have a good one. Bye for now.